there's been rumors of this happening, right? There's been rumors of this happening, and I am a huge, vocally, yeah, everybody that's familiar with me and with this community and with the stream and everything knows how, oh God, fed up I am with the console side of the industry, and a lot of it has to do, in large part, with the lack of quality of life features for consumers, right? It's just really off-putting for me. Yeah, Cash, dude, I didn't recall it at all, you know, from watching it as a kid, dude. So I don't know. I don't know what to do but apologize, you know, for the way that went down. But a lot of what I talk about when we consider the differences between, and obviously everything has its pros and cons list and stuff, so but personally I do feel like the PC is the better place for gamers to be, quality of life wise. Talk about things like very little support for backwards or forwards compatibility from console developers, as well as ridiculous things like making people pay to play online, where that's something you don't have to deal with on PC most of the time, unless you're paying for like a subscription for like World of Warcraft or something like that. But if you're just playing games on Steam or playing games on Epic or whatever, you don't have to pay to play online. That's insane. PC gamers would never think about having to do something like that, right? On the same front, like I was talking about forwards and backwards compatibility, you get a new PC, a new computer or whatever, you don't ever think about having to rebuy your games that you've already owned. They're part of your library. All you do is access your library again, install those games, and play them. Whereas on the console side of the industry, for the longest time, it's always been about making you double and triple dip. You know, for instance, I'll call out Nintendo right now. When Nintendo had the Wii U as their modern platform, they released Mario Kart 8, right? And then when they released the Switch, what did they do? They ported Mario Kart 8 over to the Switch, their current modern platform. Now, everybody also knows that Nintendo's notorious for the fact that their games don't reduce in price. So not only are you having to rebuy that game for the new console, even though it was just a port, it wasn't really, there was not much done to it, right? From the initial take of moving that game from the Wii U to the Switch, initially there was not much done. Now there's a bunch of extra DLC and stuff like that, but initially it was mostly just a port. Mostly. There are a few minor changes, but mostly just a port. And people are having to pay for the game again if they already owned it. That should never happen, you know? But it's not just Nintendo, it's most of the console world that's done this kind of thing. It's quite ridiculous. And so, but this is one of the things that has always, and for the longest, I mean, I've always played, from the time I was young, I was always a PC and a console gamer. And it was, you know, around the kind of midpoint of PlayStation 3 times that I started looking at stuff in this way and went, you know what, I just can't really move forward the console side of the industry. It doesn't make any sense for me anymore. So I've gotten to where most of what I do is play PC anymore. I still do, you know, I still have a little bit of console stuff, but for the most part, PC's where everything lies for me, because it's just a much better place, in my opinion, for us as consumers of gaming products, and the quality of life is just so much nicer for us. Again, there's pros and cons to both, but it is quite ridiculous how you have to deal with a lot of this kind of stuff on a much larger scale on the console side of things. And a lot of people have been calling for Nintendo to make these kinds of changes for a while now. And this is not official, but hopefully it is a sentiment that has some substance behind it that we can at least hope is true. Because this desperately needs to happen. The backwards compatibility support for the upcoming Nintendo hardware, if that's called the Switch 2, we'll find out very soon. But this desperately needs to be a thing for Nintendo consumers. Nintendo's next console will reportedly have backwards compatibility support. That's according to the industry insider Nate the Hate, who has a track record of breaking news prior to its official announcement. Responding to speculation that Switch 2 may have entered mass production, he said in a Reddit post on Wednesday, it has backwards compatibility support. Earlier this year, Switch peripheral maker MobaPad also claimed that Nintendo's next console will be backwards compatible with physical and digital games. Oh, I hope, dude. That is phenomenal. While Nintendo has refrained from making any specific comments about future hardware when asked about features like backwards compatibility, the company plans to announce its next console during its current fiscal year, which runs until March 31st of 2025. Last month, it was claimed that developers had been briefed not to expect Nintendo's next console to launch before April of 2025. But on Wednesday, David Gibson, a senior research analyst at MST Financial, suggested financial guidance from Nintendo assembler Hosiden might point to plans to launch the system sooner. Here's a quote. No one seems to have noticed the Nintendo assembler Hosiden is spending 2 billion yen on production equipment and 1 billion yen on automation in the third quarter of this fiscal year for its major customer in amusement, Nintendo, he wrote. I still expect September news and March 2025 release for next device. Okay. Chinese peripheral maker MobaPad also previously claimed that the Switch 2 handheld will support 1080p resolution and that its new dock will support 4K resolution. The Joy-Cons on the new system will be larger than those on the current Switch and will attach to it using magnetic suction instead of the existing sliding rail technology, it said. Yeah, we've seen a lot of leaked kind of specs and speculation about what the device will be and intel and stuff like that, but this is hopefully very good news for Nintendo fans and consumers. This needed to happen a long time ago.